What's up, YouTube? I'm Robert, and this is the B1KER Bar Podcast live stream. All right, man. Episode 67. This is pretty cool, man. I got a group on, a dude that started a nonprofit called the Dirt Therapy Project. Man, I hope I didn't screw that up. Anyways, before we get started, you guys know I need to rant for a minute. I appreciate you guys that are listening to the podcast. I looked the other day. We're tracking like 5,000 downloads a month. That's pretty sick. I never thought there'd be 5,000 people wanting to listen to this thing. And the channel's growing, just over 2,000 subscribers right now. So that's doing really good, considering that it took me like a couple of years to do that on the biker channel. And here we are on the podcast, and it's like a couple of months. Boom. So if you guys are enjoying these shows, please hit the subscribe button, man. It means a lot. And if you like it, hit the thumbs up button. And if you don't, I don't care what you do then. Just walk away or hit the button twice. That's cool too. Either way, if you really like the show, you can swing by you can get on whatever podcast app that you're listening to it on and leave a review, because that helps the podcast grow, allegedly. I just made that up. I don't know if it actually does, but I feel like it does. So just work with me, guys. Just work with me. Anyways, if you like to see extra content from the biker channel or the B1KER Bar or whatever, just hook up with the Facebook or the Instagram, because I'm always posting stuff over there. So it's definitely a way to stay in tune. But if you really want like the insider access, then you got to head over to Patreon for $1 a month. Just like you buy a beer, you give that dude $1. You're like, thanks for pouring that beer. Well, just check this out. You come to this bar, you give me $1, and you don't get to drink, but you get to watch me. So that's probably worth $1. And then if you want something more than that, you can throw in $5, get a sticker pack, and there's access. I got coupon codes for a lot of the companies that we have on the show or that I work with the biker channel, and you'll probably make your money back. So it's a good deal, and it helps me keep this channel going. The other day, my gimbal died. I need to figure out how I'm gonna buy a new GoPro or something like that. So come on, guys, throw in, kick down, man, share the wealth. If you guys super chat while we're on here on the live stream, man, I really appreciate that. It's awesome. I don't always get a chance to acknowledge it whenever it happens, but dude, you guys are awesome. And yeah, check this out. Ian just brought something up. I have these freaking super cool ass beer koozies. These are the biker koozies. They're a slap koozie, so you could just slap that thing on your wrist and relive the 80s, or you could slap that thing on your beer and keep it cold. I'm doing this in the camera for those of you guys that are watching those of you guys that are listening. This is the coolest freaking koozie you've ever seen in your life. You should buy 10 of them. If you want to get one, you can swing by shop.biker.com. I changed the prices after last week because I just started running my mouth before I checked shipping. And apparently it costs $20 to ship it to Australia. And so I'm not shipping internationally, but if you if you're international and you want one, like hit me up on Instagram or something like that. I'll just go figure out what the shipping is ahead of time. We can work that out. I just didn't know how to do it on my website, and I didn't feel like putting the effort into it. So $9, including shipping. Anywhere in the US, you get one of them. Anywhere in the US for 20, you get 3. So you might as well get 3. The cool thing about these is that if you don't want to keep your beer cold, you can at least put it around the down tube of your bike, and when you're shuttling, it's not going to screw up your paint, which is a plus. That's the whole reason I end up making those things. So anyways, let's go ahead and get on with the show here. We got Jonathan. I'm going to pop him over here. Bam, there he is. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? How are you?
Not bad, dude. Just went for a little ride earlier today, and life is good, dude. I can't complain too much, right?
Yeah, that's good.
So you've been riding at all this week?
This week I've been pretty crazy as far as my actual job goes, right? So running the Dirt Therapy Project is purely just a passion.
Oh, right on.
So I work full time in corporate America. And anyway, I've been slammed this week.
What do you do? What do you do for corporate America?
I do vendor relationship management for a Fortune 100 bank and financial institution. Yeah,
that sounds interesting, but not as cool as riding bikes.
Not even close.
Right. So what's the Dirt Therapy Project, man?
Yeah, so the Dirt Therapy Project, it's a 501c3 nonprofit. I started this program about 2.5 years ago, and if anybody here has heard a podcast I've done before, this is probably going to sound familiar. I'll give you the kind of the Cliff Note version of how we started. So
yeah, let's do it.
I was in the Marine Corps from 2009 to 2013, and during that time, deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. I was in Afghanistan and ended up in a small little place in Helmand called Sangin. While I was in Sangin, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines was there. This is 2009, 2010 time frame. And they showed up looking for a fight, and they definitely got it. And it was a very bloody deployment. And so kind of like I tell everybody, right, there's things that you see when you're deployed that they change who you are a little bit. Fast forward, I guess it was, 5-6 years after I had gotten out of the Marine Corps, tried to, adjust back to civilian life. I'm working this highly stressful job. I, at the time, had 2 young kids, and I was going to grad school at nights, and just the stress was unrelenting, right? There was no way to get a break ever. So I jumped on Craigslist, and I bought a cheap, 15-year-old Kona full suspension bike, similar to one that I rode back in high school, and jumped on that, and I'd start riding it after school, after work and before school, and just totally fell right back in love with mountain biking. It was like I had never been off of a bike. So that's really how it started, right? It was something that helped me immensely. And then, the rule of bikes, N+1 is the perfect amount of bikes.
Right. You always need more.
Exactly. So shortly after I bought the Kona, got back into it, I found an older specialized enduro. I bought that. And then I all of a sudden had a bike that I could loan out, and I started inviting buddies out with me. They loved it. And so really the Dirt Therapy Project was born right on the trails here in San Antonio. Right
on, man. I always call it single track therapy. First of all, dude, thanks for your service, man. I appreciate that.
Oh, thanks.
For sure. I'm a veteran too, and every time somebody says that, I'm always like, I don't know what the fuck they're saying that for, but like on the other hand, like, yeah, that's cool, man. It's awesome whenever people do say it. So like, I think the older I get, the more I fucking care about it. You know what I mean? Like when I was young, I first got out of the Army, I was like, whatever, dude. All I did was get drunk, and then I'm sure by the time I'm 60, I'm gonna have one of those fucking hats from the VFW, dude. Be walking around with flags on my shirt and shit. Right on, man. So what'd you do in the Marines?
I was a utility engineer in the Marine Corps, so I worked on mobile power systems.
Oh, wow.
Generators, forward operating generators, power grids, and all that good stuff. So.
So you said 2009, were you like just getting out of high school? You signed up or something?
So I was 21 when I joined the Corps.
Oh, right on, man.
A little older than most going in.
Yeah, you were like a grandpa in basic training then, man.
I don't know if I was a grandpa. We had people older than me, but I was definitely middle-aged.
We had this one dude, man. I bet you was like 32, man. But to us, I think we all called him grandpa, honestly. Yeah. It's like, I know when I was 32, because I'm like 43 now, I feel like I'm fucking hell old, right? Yeah. But I remember like being like 32 and thinking about how hard we gave that guy, how much shit we gave him. I was like, man, he actually really wasn't that old, but to us, man, we just gave it to him. So why wait till you're 21 to go in?
So kind of an interesting segue. Right after high school, well, when I was 17, I tried joining the Marine Corps, right? I tried doing the delayed entry program.
Right.
So to do that, you have to get your parents' signature.
Yeah.
So I had gone through that, had all those hard conversations with my mom and dad. They're like, okay, really hesitant and tentative about it. And I get all the way to MEPS, and something in my medical history had set off a flag for them. So they're like, hey, you need to call your parents and have them sign this waiver. So I called them, and they're like, no, we're not going to sign this waiver. We talked about it and decided that if anything came up, then maybe it wasn't meant to be. We're going to pull the plug on it. So then I have to leave MEPS, tell my recruiter, hey, sorry, man, and walk out with my tail between my legs. Like,
right.
whatever you want to say.
Dude, MEPS is crazy, man. Whenever I went in, like I feel like their whole like mission is to like keep you from being in the military. And they said that I had like, what do they call it? Like hyperchondration of the palms, which basically means my hands sweat, right?
Yeah.
And like the doctor was like, yeah, if you're in the field and this is happening, you could like smear the map or something like that and like mess up the mission. And like whenever I would be like in Bosnia, just freaking sweating bullets all over the place, and I would always think about that, like, look at this freaking rainstorm I'm making off my eyebrows right now. Apparently my hands don't fucking matter, So yeah, that's good stuff. So on, man. So then you went in. Where were you stationed?
So I did my schooling in North Carolina, and then I was stationed at Miramar, which used to be a naval air station.
Yeah.
Probably, 30 miles south of Camp Pendleton.
Yeah. Don't they do, like, for some reason I feel like Top Gun or something? Isn't Miramar something to do with that? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it's like I heard that shit in a movie.
Top Gun out there.
Right on, man. So you said you rode mountain bikes when you were in high school?
Yep.
Was it like seriously, like you ride now, or kind of just like I had a mountain bike and like?
Yeah, no, it was fairly serious. So when I was 16, I raced BMX a little bit growing up, and
cool, okay.
My first mountain bike was a full suspension from Toys R Us. It was one of those yellow mongoose bikes, sixth grade, whatever. Fast forward, I got a paper route in high school, and I bought a 2004 Kona Stinky, brand new. And I grew up in Utah, so there was lots of nice riding. And I probably crashed a lot more than I rode back then. The skills definitely weren't there, but the courage, I guess, or the stupidity was there in full force. So yeah, I rode in high school. Not nearly as good as I can ride now.
Right. No, I hear you. I was just trying to understand because, some people had a mountain bike in high school, but it was just kind of like that's what they used to go like, down to the store to get slushies or something. You know what I mean? So not necessarily because you just said earlier like, hey, this is the same kind of bike I had when I was younger or something like that. So I know whenever I got back into mountain biking, like things had changed a lot from the time because I rode in high school. I did the same thing as you. I was like BMX when I was younger and rode mountain bike in high school. And then when I went in the military, it was like just like drinking beer and chasing women was more fun than riding bikes. And then did that, got a family, and decided to, after starting getting fat, I was like, man, I need to do something about this. So I got back into riding, and man, shit changed a lot. It was like I walked into the store thinking I was going to spend $2,000 and get a badass bike, and they were like, no. Not quite. So I'm assuming like a little bit of like PTSD kind of thing afterwards. That's where you were saying it was pretty bloody, kind of tough to deal with, things like getting back into the real world.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you see stuff like that and it changes who you are.
Yeah.
Like I said,
100%, man.
Not that it's a sob story, but I knew that it was a good release for me and a good way for me to, focus some positive energy. Because unfortunately, a lot of people transition out of the service after having served in a combat zone, and rather than kind of address those things or find healthy ways to mitigate those problems, they're just, trying to drown them out with drugs, alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of us, that's what we learned when we were in. Like the way that we dealt with everything while we were in was like, hey, let's go get hammered and beat on some people or something. I was in the infantry, so I mean that's all we did was get drunk and beat people up. It was kind of like, so getting out into the back to the real world is like, wait a minute, man, I don't have a gang rolling with me all over the place. We can just do whatever the hell we want. Right. Plus, I was stationed in Europe too, so it was like for some reason we thought the rules didn't apply to us. It was even worse, Yeah. So no, I get it. So then you start riding, and that definitely gives you some clarity. I know it does for me, and I think maybe you could speak to this as well, but for me, like one of the things that I like, one of the million things that I like about mountain biking is like, it does remind me of being in the military. It, like when you're going on a ride and, you got to suck your way up some hill. It reminds me of some bullshit, like road march that we had to go on, some patrol for, 12 hours and the wrong way. And, like too hot of a day, carrying too much weight, but you still have like each other. And then, whatever, once you overcome everything, like feels good, and it's the same thing as riding, so you have that camaraderie and you're out in the woods. And I don't know, for me, it's just like, I like that part of it, but I also like the part where you can just kind of tune everything in the whole world out. And it's just, one pedal stroke at a time is really all you're thinking about,
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is it that for you that you feel like it kind of like what helps?
Yeah. So, I mean, the things you mentioned, when I ride by myself, it's usually I get up early before work, before the kids are awake, like early morning PT, and I get up. Rather than pre-combat inspections, I'm doing a pre-ride inspection on my gear. I have everything staged. I know where it is. I know what's going on. The solitude is nice, right? And that's kind of one of the things you touched on. Sometimes, and this applies, I think, to everybody, not veterans, but we live in a world right now that's so switched on, right? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, like you're inundated with information nonstop, 24/7. And to get on a bike and just switch the phone off or put it in your pocket and get out there in the woods, I think is absolutely necessary for everybody.
Yeah.
Because it just gives you a timeout from this, onslaught of bad news, essentially, right? We live in a pretty crazy world right now.
Well, that's the only thing the media wants to talk about, man. They want to talk about butterflies and shit, like they're just like, let's tell you about the doom and gloom. The COVID's going to kill you. Yeah, for sure. That's crazy. Yeah. It's just, it's a lot. Yeah. It's definitely a lot going on, and I think that it's good that you're bringing some attention to it, and like giving people like an option of like, hey, let's do something about this instead of just something negative. Or the other thing too, like I know for me, I was in the infantry, and the way that you fixed everything was just shut up and drive on, and like when you get out, you have that, that same mentality where it's like, and you never are going to be like, you don't want to ask for help. You're just like, oh, I can make it through this. I can deal with this. Like, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be like a pussy, and, it took for me like years until like I had like a serious like panic, like meltdown driving back from taking my lady out on the coast for this for her birthday. And it was like, they say, when you're drinking or whatever, like alcohol makes that kind of stuff a little worse. So, which is like a double-edged sword for guys that are getting out, so it's like we had a bunch of drinks for her birthday the night before, and it was like the next day, just we're driving along these like cliffs along the ocean, and I just freaking lost my shit. And like to the point where like I've never felt like that in my life, like where it just like felt like everything was just crumbling around me. And I just at that point I was like, I can't like ignore this anymore, and I need to go like down to the VA and like talk to somebody. And it took a lot for me to do that, man. It really did. And it really like, I remember like talking to the doctor, dude, and just like out of nowhere, it's like I'm fucking bawling and shit. And I'm like, I don't even like, who the hell is this dude? You know what I mean? Like, and then, after like I kind of like accepted that that's what I needed to do, like it made me realize that, man, that really like helped a lot. And now I'm like an advocate for my friends that were in the military and they're like going through shit. And I'm like, dude, I'm serious. Go down there, man. Like they got groups you can talk to, like, and a lot of them are in the same places I was, where that, I think you like have to get there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it was the same for you, but I feel like guys, we're all just trying to be tough, and we were in a job where like being tough was part of it. I don't know. What's your take?
No. Yeah. I mean, this definitely has gone a different way than I anticipated, but I certainly am happy to talk about it. So, to your point, the Army, the Marine Corps, you just suck it up, right? Like you just,
right.
I guess, bury your emotions, bury your feelings, right?
Yeah.
Accomplishment is number one priority.
Uh-huh.
And so it took me, I've been out for 10 years.
Uh-huh.
And for 10 years, I refused to acknowledge anything about, any mental health issues.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I didn't want to be that vet. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be Jonathan who has PTSD. I didn't want to be Jonathan who was in the Corps and, came home broken, because I didn't want that pity party.
Right.
And I wanted to be seen for who I am, not for, for being broken or any insufficiencies that I feel like society places on those kind of veterans.
Right.
So I've been out 10 years, and, this year kind of started that journey on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it was a little bit of humble pie, starting this program. I wanted to help others.
Yeah.
That was my drive. And we've been, this program's been around for 2.5 years. And it took that long for me to realize that, I probably need some work as well, right? Like,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
These other veterans and turn a blind eye to myself, because that was my justification. Is like, I'm helping people. So, through that, I'm helping myself, which wasn't really the case.
Uh-huh.
And it took until this year to be like, okay, I need to work on me for a little bit.
Oh, I see. See, I was kind of thinking maybe like you kind of had that realization and then you started the program. So you started a program before you even started looking at yourself, huh?
Yeah. Definitely.
So you were just like, man, this feels good to me, and I think this will help be good for other veterans. Or it was like you just were like, oh, these other guys, they got problems, I need to help them.
No. So the thought process was, hey, I absolutely love this. I love being on a bike. We've got some great trails to ride here in San Antonio.
Uh-huh.
I want other people to have access to this.
Uh-huh.
And when I reflected back on my own journey, getting out of the military, I was in grad school. I was broke for like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I want vets to come out and I want them to have access to this kind of gear.
Mm-hmm.
But it's unrealistic for me to think that anybody who PCSs or EAS is out of service can just go buy a bike and try this and see if it works for them.
Yeah, it's expensive to get into.
Yeah, super expensive. That's a huge barrier of entry for a lot of people. These young guys, 23, 24, they're getting out. They probably don't have a dime to their name because they bought a Mustang at like 30% APR. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like,
you fucking got a badass stereo though.
Exactly. They're still paying on that. They, that's another 3% interest on that thing.
Right.
And so that was the thing, is like, well, I'm going to start this program and I'm going to raise some money and buy a couple bikes and let people use them at no cost. And honestly, that's as big as I ever thought this was going to go, right? Like when I sat down and I started doing my business plan or my mission plan, I was like, okay, I need $10,000. With 10 grand, I can get a couple bikes. I can get a rack that I can transport stuff. I can buy all the safety gear necessary, and that'll be everything. That's all I'll ever need. And that's the program will just exist for eternity, perpetuity with the $10,000 money, which, isn't the case.
No, I know how that goes.
And
everything seems so much easier before you actually start doing it.
Yeah.
Like, even with a stupid YouTube channel, man, when I started, I was like, all I need is a GoPro, man. It's like $400. I'm in.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Now you got headphones and your microphone.
Oh, dude, it's ridiculous. You don't even know. It's like having another bike addiction. You know how like you just want to spend all your money on bikes? It's like now I spend all my money on bikes and camera gear and lights and stupid stuff like that. It's like, oh my God, it's ridiculous. So you buy a couple of bikes and you're thinking at that point, you're going to be like, you're like, I'm gonna, reach out to some veterans, and just like do like weekly rides and take these guys on them, or monthly rides, or like what was the plan?
Yep. So that was the plan. Buy a couple bikes, try to get some sort of social media presence out there and let people know that we exist. There's some great mountain bike groups here in San Antonio.
You guys have a pretty good community down there from what I know.
Yeah. So I got plugged in there and just, very slowly started telling people what we were about. And I don't know, it grew, right? It kind of grew by itself. I've done a ton of legwork and I've spent hours and hours and hours of time, but the growth is pretty awesome to see.
Yeah.
So now we're at the point where a couple times a year we're taking larger trips, right? So 2 weeks ago we spent the weekend in Bentonville.
Sweet.
With
how many people did you have out there?
We had 20.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
that's super cool.
Yeah, which is rad, so going from, hey, I've got this bike you can use here locally to, hey, we can afford to pay for travel, lodging, food, right, for 20 people to go ride Bentonville has been an astronomical leap.
So how'd you come up with that first 10 grand?
Yeah, so the first 10 grand, I guess, came from what you'd call angel investors in a normal type business. My first plan, or my first, how will you say this, fundraiser or seed money came from people on LinkedIn. Which I think people are sleeping on LinkedIn, but I just got on there and I made this post and I told everybody what I wanted to do, and had some family members and colleagues and people that I had gone to church with in California. They contributed to a GoFundMe we had started. We raised like $1,500 that way. And then, I don't know where that first 10 grand came from, just fundraisers. And
just came along.
And then we started printing t-shirts, and then that would help with some other stuff. And then we did mud guards, and,
so merchandising is some of the ways that you're continuing to bring money in. Do you have people like they're able to like just donate, or?
Yeah.
So that's just like right through the website?
Yeah, so you can donate right on the website. There's a link there. PayPal, Venmo. We've done some raffles. We raffled a bike off last year. The company I work for has a very generous 1-to-1 match. So anybody at work that donates, they'll match up to $1,000 per employee.
Right.
So people at work.
So you do some back alley stuff. You're like, here's $1,000, dude. Give it back to me, and then we'll get 2.
We got to keep it above board.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what it is.
But no, so it's just good. The local community really stepped up this past fall and helped us fundraise for a trailer, because that was kind of the next logical step for me, is somewhere we can haul bikes and gear and spare parts and maybe a work stand for some of these bigger trips that we do. So somebody put together a fundraiser and they raised, like $3,000, and we bought a trailer with it.
So what were they doing for a fundraiser? What kind of fundraising? Like when somebody says fundraiser, like the only thing that my mind can think of is like washing cars.
So yeah, we weren't washing cars and Speedos or anything.
Yeah. Okay.
But, Facebook has some pretty great fundraising tools. If you are a registered 501c3, you can just, get on Facebook and say, create fundraiser, choose the organization you want it to go to, and then people just donate. So sometimes, people will do it for their birthday and be like, hey, instead of buying me a birthday present, just we would have send to this program.
I've been seeing those. What do you got to do to be 501c? Like, what does that even mean? Yeah,
so a 501c3 is a tax code. What it means is that you've gone through the filing with the IRS, and you basically are designated a 501c3, which is a tax-exempt organization. And you can then also write like donation receipts to people so they can use that for their own taxes.
Ah, I see. So like, what was the process like to become that? Like, was that pretty simple? Like you just
it was burdensome, right? So the first thing we had to do is file for incorporation
Uh-huh.
In the state of Texas at the time I did that, there was no cost for veterans who were starting businesses.
Uh-huh.
We did our incorporation paperwork. I found a lawyer to work with who took good care of us, He gave us a nice break on some of the pricing, helped us with our bylaws, our articles of incorporation. And then once everything was buttoned up on that side of the house, I then applied through the IRS for the 501c3 designation, which took another, 6 months or so.
Oh, wow. So it's a process, huh?
It's a process.
They don't just hand that stuff out.
No, they don't.
So now you say how long you said you've been doing it for 2.5 years now?
Yeah. So March of 2018 is when we filed for incorporation with the state of Texas.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. I know I did these camping events for my biker channel, and the last couple of years they got messed up just because it's been like bad weather or something. It just whatever. I'm going to give you a bunch of excuses why I didn't have in the last 2 years. But what I was getting at is like the first year I had like, I don't know, maybe 10 people there. And then the second year I had like, there was probably like 50 or 60 people there, and I couldn't freaking believe it. And I remember like, just like kind of standing back at one point of the night and just watching everybody having a good time and stuff. And I was just like, kind of choked me up, man. It was like, dude, this is really cool. Like that I brought all these people together and they're having like this moment of their life that they're, potentially that they could remember forever. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's really fulfilling. So I could imagine like doing something like that with more of a purpose than what I was, where it's like, this veteran reason. And that's really awesome. So you've already exceeded your expectations of the first, couple of bikes and kind of gone from there. Where do you see it continuing to go?
Yeah. So, I mean, dream world, right? I do this as a full-time job. It's going to take quite a bit to get there. I think my goal is 5 years. I think I can continue doing what I'm doing right now between balancing work, family, and the dirt therapy project. I think I can do that for 5 more years. But if we're not to the point where I'm able to do this full time and devote all my energy and attention to it, we're going to have like a very serious, come to Jesus moment. And be like,
to figure out whether you want to keep doing it or like just
if it's even feasible, in 5 years I'll have a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old. 500 kids we have. No, but so that's the plan, right? That's worth thinking big and just trying to do this nationwide, figure out how to spread this and have people adopt it. So this year was good for us in terms of growth. We found somebody in Colorado, like in the Denver area, who's basically running, I guess I wouldn't call it a chapter because the legal organization isn't there yet, but more or less they run a chapter for us. We've got the same thing in North Carolina. And as of just a couple weeks ago, the same thing in Bentonville. We met up with a couple awesome riders, Army vet, and super stoked on what we're doing, wants to be a part of it. So he's going to run, like a little mini version of what we're doing here up in.
So like, what does that in like entail? Like say some dude in like St. Paul, Minnesota is listening right now. And he's like, dude, I want to do this too. I want to be part of this. Like, what would that mean? Does that just mean he like leads group rides? Does that mean he needs to figure out how to come up with some bikes for people, or what is it that you like? How do you do that?
Yeah. So their first responsibility would be leading group rides, right? Organizing some sort of presence in the area, whether that's like a monthly or bi-monthly event, just getting together and riding. Ideally, we'd hope that they try to follow the same plan that we've set forth, and that they can do some fundraising, get some equipment set up, because we're not set up yet to where we can send people bikes or send them, a couple $1,000s to go buy some gear. We're not there quite yet. What our hopes would be is that they can kind of take the reins on that and just essentially kind of start over, but in their own area, help and guidance, I guess, that I could.
So the guys in the other cities right now, they're doing group rides. That's what they're doing, leading that stuff.
Yep, exactly.
Do you have like a section on your website that like shows where the different areas are, or that's not really built out? Or
so not on the website yet. On our Facebook page, there's the subgroups. So you can go to the Dirt Therapy Project, and it shows our Facebook page, and then there are the groups. So there's the North Carolina group, the Colorado group, and the Arkansas group.
And the San Antonio group, right?
Yeah, I need to probably create a standalone San Antonio group because I just kind of treat the page as our.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I totally get it. Right on, man. I know I'm friends with a YouTuber down there, No Front Brakes. I don't know if you've ever met him. And he said the community down there, like the trail builders and everybody's pretty tight. Like when he does little races and stuff like that, everybody's like really dialed into each other.
Yeah.
I'm sure that helps a lot. I went down there and rode that Spider Mountain with him. That was pretty fun. You guys go out there?
Yeah, Spider's fun.
Yeah. What else do you guys get into then?
So I mean, local to San Antonio, there's some pretty fun trails. McAllister Park is good for beginners. That's where I usually take people who haven't been riding very long, or maybe it's been a long time since they've ridden. The Leon Creek Greenway has some great trails back there, off of the paved Greenway section. Flat Rock Ranch is out in Comfort, and they've got some, pristine riding. It's a good time to go out there. And then you get up into the Austin area, South Austin, Walnut Creek, Brushy Creek. We're headed out to Reveille Peak Ranch next weekend. I've actually never ridden out there, but Team Trail Party, Jeremiah, some of the guys, No Front Brakes, that he mentioned, the community, they're real big.
Yeah, that's Austin. I was screwing up. I was thinking about Austin, but I was talking to you about San Antonio. So,
well, I mean, it's like 90 miles away,
Yeah.
And Texas is like right up the road.
Right. My son's stationed down there now. He's in Hood.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man. Whenever I had him, I was like, man, 18 years. It's gonna be a long time. And now I'm like, holy crap, he's 20. The hell, man. I don't even know what happened.
It flies.
Yeah. So when you're going out, like, do you have like some kind of like protocol that you follow as far as like how the rides go, or you just kind of like meet up with people and just kind of wing it, or what's do you guys have, like, you guys all do a prayer at the beginning, high five or something?
Yeah, sacrifice to the mountain.
Yeah.
So I guess we're like formally informal. Anybody that wants to come out and ride has to complete a waiver on our site, basically saying, if they get hurt while they're with us, sorry,
that's
bud.
your problem. Yeah.
Not our fault.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so we've got a waiver, and then when we meet up, I'll kind of just remind everybody that we're there to have a good time. Obviously, we love seeing progression, but not to the extent where we like seeing people get broken.
Right.
There's smart progression, and then there's reckless progression. We try to keep people away from the reckless part.
Yeah.
And,
I think reckless progression is the only progression I had most of my life. So
yeah, right? Like, 2 years post shoulder rebuild. I broke my ankle last year. I've got a plate and screws. So
there you go.
I don't want people to have that. So
right.
There's like the realm of riding, and then maybe ride one level over your ability or whatever. But yeah, just kind of a reminder. We're here to have fun, here to have a good time. Ride another day. Let's just get at it.
So do you have like specific rides that are like, hey, this is, back to like getting to the guy that just like ETS'd or whatever, has no money, and like that are specific to like, hey, these are going to be beginner rides to get people into it? Or is it like any ride somebody could show up and be at that level?
No, because I don't think that's responsible on my part, right? Like I wouldn't say anybody can come out and ride Spider Mountain with us. I would want somebody, their first experience on a bike being in a downhill park.
Right.
When I create events, they're targeted to skill levels, right? It's either an all abilities or this is probably an advanced or intermediate ride.
Mm-hmm.
And then our bigger trips, I've yet to take anybody on a big trip that I haven't personally ridden with.
Yeah.
Right, because there is some sense of personal responsibility there. You don't want them to get hurt. You have to bet that they have the skills and abilities to ride, and that they're not just taking up a seat that could go to somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, definitely.
In the nonprofit world, and I hate to say this, and luckily we haven't experienced it much, but there's the freebie warriors.
Yeah.
Right? People who want something free, kind of regardless of what.
Yeah, I just want a free bike. I'm actually not going to use it, but just give it to me. Yeah, that sucks.
And that's one
thing you have to look out for that,
Yeah, and I guess I'll touch on that super quick. Is I will never, ever, 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 ever buy somebody a bike.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we're making $5 million a year, I will never flat out buy somebody a bike, because I think that there's pride of ownership that comes with having to sacrifice some money and pay for your bike, right?
Yeah.
I would very happily subsidize a bike for somebody, and we've done so already. There's several bikes that we've put, $1,000, $1,500 towards for somebody who deserves that bike.
Yeah.
But they meet us halfway, or they do what they can, and we make it. Because there is that pride of ownership. There's, what else would you call it? Like, you pay for something, you sacrifice something, you're gonna take care of it.
Yeah,
but you also feel good about yourself because you worked
did that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I wasn't sure where you were going with that when you first started, but that makes a lot of sense to me. I definitely see where you're coming from there. But if you want to give me a free bike, I'm down.
Yeah, we'll probably meet you halfway somewhere,
Right.
No free bikes.
Right. So you did Bentonville. What was that like? How that all come together?
Dude, Bentonville is super rad. If you've never ridden it, you should certainly put it on your list.
Let me tell you a story about this real quick. Okay. My lady works in produce, let's just say, and so she would go to Bentonville when we first got together, like a couple of times a year, because she'd go be meeting with Walmart, right?
Yeah.
And whenever I'd ask her, like, because she traveled all the time, and it'd be like, "Where are you going?" "Oh, I'm going to Arkansas." I'm like, "Oh, what's there?" "Nothing. It's horrible. Just can't wait to get home. It sucks." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the line, like some YouTuber made a video about that place, and I was like, "Holy cow, this is sick!" So I was like, "When are you going back to Bentonville?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I don't do that contract anymore." I'm like, "What?" Like, until I didn't know, like, I would have been able to like just fly along with her and like stay for free, and like she could do whatever the heck she was doing for work, and I could have rode all day. Yeah. And then here we are. Now I'm gonna have to pay to go myself, right?
Yeah.
Lame. So anyways, you were saying, so you guys decided to go there.
Yeah, so it's totally worth it. That was the second time I've been up there, and it's just a mountain biker's mecca. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. There are trails everywhere. So the Walton Foundation is the front runner for all of the trails up there. They've invested $85 million in trail building over the last 4 or 5 years, and they're just outstanding. Yeah. So, we rented an Airbnb, and probably 300 yards from our Airbnb, we could get on some trails and end up over in the Slaughter Pen area.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kohler Mountain is like, 10 minutes from downtown. We went and rode Eureka Springs one day. They can pay for a shuttle out there. So it's basically just, downhill shuttle runs. It's just.
So is it like downhill all the way back to town, or is it like just downhill at that place?
Yeah, it's just downhill in Eureka Springs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
5-6 minute runs maybe, and then. Yeah, it's amazing.
Right on, man. It sounds super cool. I'd really like to go sometime. So you guys just like rode all day, and then come nighttime, just crack some beers open, like have bonfire or something, or?
Yeah, so we'd ride all day. The first day is when we rode Eureka Springs, and Rich Drew came out and hung out with us for a little while, and said some nice things to everybody. Thanked everybody for their service, which was cool, and had a little swag for all the people that were there. rode all day, shuttled all day, got back, ordered up some like $200 worth of Chick-fil-A, and we just kind of
there you go.
Chick-fil-A and sat around and had a good time.
Right on, man. That's super awesome. So you said you've done a few events like that now?
Yeah, so we did Bentonville in May of this year. We did Angel Fire in New Mexico.
Yeah, I've heard about that place too.
Also Prime Riding.
Uh-huh.
And
that's more like park riding there, isn't it?
It's a park, yeah. It's
a
park. We've done Big Bend National Park, which was fun because it was conducive to all riding levels, right? There's no technical riding within the national park. It's all just big, wide, Jeep roads kind of out in the middle of nowhere. There's some hot springs, and we'd go hike and hang out in the hot springs and ride bikes. So it was a good time.
Right on, man. What are you learning each time you do one of these? I'm sure there's like some like key takeaways. I know every time I did the biker event, it was like, okay, next year I need to plan to do this,
Yeah. So the lesson that really hit home this time around was delegation.
Uh-huh.
For all these events and pretty much everything else we do, I kind of take it upon myself to be the point man for everything.
Yeah.
It won't be sustainable much longer if we continue to grow like this. So for this trip, it was delegation, right? Instead of me worrying about loading the bikes and finding the food and packing the gear, I could just be like, hey, I need you to XYZ, or you take ordering food, which was nice. And so that's definitely a lesson I'm taking forward.
Yeah. So I saw on your website, your wife is obviously part of this, and then you had another guy on there as well. Is he there in the San Antonio area too, or?
Yeah, so his name's Joe Sulak. He's here in the San Antonio area. Phenomenal guy. I don't even know how we connected. It was just kind of by happenstance. He does a lot of coaching for like ultra marathoners, high endurance athletes, and then he's really involved with Bicycle Heaven as far as social media directing, and he does the specialized retool bike fit kind of stuff. Anyway, phenomenal guy, tons of knowledge, not a veteran, but he saw kind of what we were building and just was really nice and really genuine about wanting to help out. And so we brought him on, and it's been great having him on board. He's a wonderful sounding board. And I go to him quite often with,
So with your local stuff, then you have a couple of people there in San Antonio, or are you the only one? You and him are the only ones that are leading rides, or?
No, we've got a large presence in San Antonio. So there are probably over a dozen people that I could call on and ask them to lead a ride, and they'd be more than happy to.
So what do you like? So are you doing monthly or weekly or bi-month? Oh, like what's your
Yeah, well, it's evolving. So obviously this year has been crazy.
Yeah, right.
Trying to do anything this year has been weird. When we started, it was weekly rides, which is easy when there's 2 or 3 people, right? We'd have 2 or 3 people, and we'd ride every week, and then it would be more people, and so it was every other week. And last year we really tried for monthly rides. Which was my goal coming into 2020, is to have one dedicated ride every month, and then the 2 larger multi-day events.
Every month?
Well, no, the multi-day events twice.
Oh, two events through the year, and then one big group ride every month.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So I love doing those big rides every month. But
right. And then 2020 came along. I was like, poop on that.
Yeah.
Do it. You'll do what I want.
Kind of threw a wrench in the plans.
Yeah. So I'm sure though, either way, I mean, you get to like kind of reseat yourself, I guess, for next year. I mean, I don't know what it's like in Texas right now, as far as, are you guys like kind of opening back up, or like in California, we're like, our Fuhrer governor is like telling us now we can't have more than 3 families for Thanksgiving. We have to eat outside and socially distance for. So like, I don't know what's going on in Texas. What's going on over there?
Yeah. I mean, it's not life as normal, but
right.
It's not like that. We're still wearing masks pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
The parks are open. The trails are open.
Yeah.
Restaurants are open.
What's the riding like in San Antonio? I have a buddy that I grew up with, and I went down there and met with him. Somehow or another, I'm a Cowboys fan, so we flew into San Antonio and then we drove up to Dallas to see a game together.
Oh, cool.
And I just remember it's like pretty much like wide open kind of rolling hills there.
Yeah, so it's flat, right? San Antonio, the hill country area. You don't get any big climbs. There It doesn't exist here, but the riding's super fun. You probably won't get more than 1,000 feet of elevation when you go out and ride, but there's some tight, twisty track to ride through. A lot of it goes through cedar and oak tree, just kind of, removed from the busy population. Lots of wildlife. I don't think I've gone on a ride where I haven't seen deer. Sometimes you'll see armadillo, skunk if you're unlucky.
Yeah.
So yeah, the riding's great.
So like twisty kind of stuff, like a little more like, is it like, I know like down in Florida, the way they build down there is they have lots of like jumps and like rollers, wooden features and stuff like that to kind of like make up for the lack of elevation gain and loss. Is it something like that, or just like?
We're going that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some people doing some pretty cool work on some of these local trails. And then there's the trails you don't talk about.
Yeah, the trail gnomes, they're doing their thing too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, we got a lot of those in California because otherwise you need like $1 billion to build something new. So, are you guys doing any kind of trail advocacy stuff too with your group?
We haven't dived super far into that realm yet. I try to work with Storm, the South Texas off-road mountain bike group. They're another 501c3, and they've partnered with REI, and they get grants every year for trail building and maintenance. So, we haven't done much together yet. We are getting a pump track and a skills park here at McAllister, which is going to be nice. It's the first one in the area. And so everybody's excited about that.
So you're going to try to help rally people to go out there and help keep it in good shape.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the things with the pump tracks, man. If you don't have a group of people that are willing to volunteer a lot of their time to keep them in good condition, they'll fall apart quickly, Yeah.
So this is an asphalt pump. It's like one of
the wow. Oh man. So never mind. Nobody needs to shovel that.
So yeah, it'll be nice.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. I've actually never ridden on one of those. The only ones I've ridden on out here are all dirt. So, and there's always somebody out there like reshaping it or spraying water or pulling weeds or something like that. I got a buddy, he has a channel out here too, and mountain biking adventures, and he like basically lives at that place, just trying to like keep it together all the time. And I'm like, man, that's dedication.
Yeah,
it definitely is. That's really cool. So you have this 5-year plan. You're like 2.5 years into it. So what is it that's going to make you go from where you're at now to where you can quit your job?
I think several things have to happen. We were lucky this year to partner with Specialized, and so that was a big relief for us because we didn't have to keep going out to the market and paying sticker price for bicycles anymore.
Oh, sweet. So they're hooking you up then.
Yeah. So with their help, we were able to bring on, a fleet of stump jumpers and put bets on some nice bikes. We bought an e-bike this year, which was great for any adaptive riders or people that have, whatever from the service.
Yeah.
So I think to get to that point, we have to just continue growing and looking for different avenues of exposure and finding some big players that are willing to invest in what we do, in our mission, and help us get to that next level. And
so like if people are donating to you, then it's a tax write-off, right? That would be like that would be the idea behind giving a larger amount of money, right?
Yeah,
aside from like obviously, wanting to do something good, right?
Right. Yeah. Hopefully they believe in what we're doing, and
yeah.
Right. And so that's what we want. And then yes, one of the benefits is that they can write that off as a charitable donation.
Right. So that helps too, so.
Yeah, so if anybody's listening, you are a rich uncle or you have a rich uncle, just send them our way and
right.
keep growing.
Right. Yeah. Totally. So like, what kind of ways are you looking for more exposure? I mean, obviously something like this or.
Yeah. So this social media, right? Our Instagram page is growing slowly but surely. Facebook, partnering up with some smaller, better-known companies, well, bigger than us, right? So Killcliff is one of our sponsors, and we get a lot of great product from them.
What do they do?
So Killcliff got super big in the CrossFit world, but it's like a workout supplement.
Oh, okay.
They got real big with it's called a recovery, and you drink after you work out, a little bit of caffeine, some anti-inflammatories, no artificial sugars, doesn't make you crash.
Mm-hmm.
They make some awesome product, and we love having them on board, and they supply our riders with drinks for the rides. Hannah recently came on board as a sponsor. They're out of Colorado. It's a veteran-owned CBD company. So we love being able to offer their product to some of the riders and discount codes. So yeah, just kind of growing that way organically.
So most of your sponsors are sponsoring, like giving you guys products or discounts on their products or something like that, but maybe not necessarily like financially at this point.
Yeah, we don't have anybody yet who's willing to sit down and write us a check or, or whatever that might be. So
right.
That's in the future.
So how do you get to that? Like, what is like, do you have a plan for that, or you're just kind of like running by the seat of your pants trying to figure it?
You tell me, man. I've been trying to figure it out for 2.5 years.
Yeah, right, dude. I don't know, man. I'm just asking questions
the secret sauce.
Right. I have no clue, man. I don't even know where I would start. I you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it's awesome what you're doing for sure. I'm just I don't even know what I would want to think of to try to motivate people that way. Yeah. What kind of trips are you thinking that you're going to do next year?
Yeah, so Angel Fire was a blast. People loved Angel Fire. So, if we get back out there, that would be ideal. I've wanted to take a group to Moab for a couple of years. And so if I can find a way to pull that off in 2021, that would be pretty awesome. Like I said, there are some things in my personal life that make traveling for multiple days difficult. My wife,
you got a big family, man. You got to take care of them.
Yeah, we're going to have a baby in the spring. So I don't know exactly what 2021 looks like. I'd love to get to Angel Fire, maybe Bentonville, and those places are nice because they're close, right? It takes us 10 hours to get there. If you live in Texas, it takes a long time to get anywhere.
Yeah, so, it's a big state.
Yeah, we've got family in Salt Lake, and it takes me 23 hours to drive up there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. California is pretty big, like top to bottom. A lot of I'm from Pennsylvania originally, and like my family will be like, I'm flying into San Diego. Can you meet for lunch? I'm like, yeah, next time I fly into Jacksonville, Florida, will you want to meet me for lunch? Like, that's how far away you are from my house, So, yeah. No, but Texas is definitely huge from like a lot of directions. So,
yeah,
that's crazy. Do you charge anybody to go to those, or is like the whole thing free? Like, is there like a bunch of like you go to Angel Fire, like, hey, everybody pay $50 and then that helps kind of fund it, or it's like on free?
Yeah. So far we've been lucky enough to be able to cover all the expenses for the participants.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So what is the way that like other people could get involved with it?
I mean,
reach out to you, just shoot you an email, like say like that guy I was talking about that's in, BFE Minnesota or something like that. It's like, hey, I want to start something up and be part of this.
Yeah, for sure. Reach out. I'm happy to connect via any social media channel. Usually I give people my cell phone number, which makes it easy once they've reached out. Growing is difficult because there's only so much capacity that I have right now, right? So like, it's hard for me if I have 10 people reach out after this from 10 different states who want to organize something, that's kind of hard to wrap my hands around while
totally
everything else. So, we want to grow, but we want to do so responsibly. Does that mean we'll probably have to bring somebody in and try help managing that next year? Yeah, probably. We're not there yet. But if you have an idea, if there's something you want to do, contribute, thoughts, ideas, growth plans, grant writing is something we could definitely use help on. So there's a lot of help that we can use for sure.
So what's that process? Like there's grants that the government gives out to 501Cs or something like that, or?
There are, yeah, we've never received one. Grant writing is the very, what would I say? It's an acquired skill, and I think to be good at it, you have to have done it for a long time.
So you like write up some kind of proposition, and they like pick you, and then you get a certain amount of money. Wow, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, well, that would be cool.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Anybody want to write a grant? Come on now. It sounds like a good time, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Right on. So you said it's not a whole lot of elevation gain and loss where you're at. So I'm assuming most people are riding 29ers down there.
Yeah, 29ers are pretty popular. But you do have the whole range. You've got people on 26s. The 27.5 is a pretty solid bike.
Yeah.
All our bikes are 29s. I love the 29er platform. I went from a 26 to a 29, and so it was just so wonderful that.
Oh wow, that's a big jump.
Yeah, it is a big jump.
Are you a tall guy, or how tall are you?
5'10".
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's a big jump, though. Still, that's a really big difference. I'm in the 27.5 camp. That's as far as I could go from the 26 whenever I first moved. But I'm like slowly. I'm almost there because I'm running plus tires now. So this I'm right there. So. Yeah. The bikes are definitely getting a lot better at the handling now as well compared to when they first came out. So that definitely makes it a little more fun.
Yeah. So the first 4 bikes we bought were all fat bikes.
Oh wow, okay.
So they're nice for beginner riders, and there's that added stability and the footprint of the tire. But we were using those for like the first year.
Well, no, were those hardtails?
They were fully rigid, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm assuming then that was probably a really good bargain for the price then. You could get something that still had some squish because of the tire pressure, but, because it's not a full suspension bike, then it would be a little easier to ride.
Yep. And it was good.
Or to buy, sorry.
Yeah, the maintenance costs weren't astronomical. It was easy to maintain a fully rigid bike, so they were good for their intended purpose.
How'd you guys work out the thing with Specialized? Somebody approached you, or?
So Joe kind of helped facilitate that whole thing. He's real plugged in with Bicycle Heaven. Bicycle Heaven is our local Specialized dealer. Matt Adlin is the owner, and Joe kind of approached Matt about it. Matt was on board. He's been super willing to help us out, and very what can we do for you? How can we help you? Build that relationship. So. Yeah, it worked out great.
What bike did you buy?
So I ride this Pemberton right here. It's the Stump Jumper Pemberton. It's been an absolute blast.
Wow.
So I think I'm going to end up raffling this bike here in a few weeks. And the next bike is going to be a 21 Enduro.
So how much suspension's on that thing? It looks like it's got a coil on it from here.
Yeah, so this is a 150, 140.
Wow.
So
and that's an e-bike?
Excuse me?
Is an e-bike is what it is?
No, this is just a regular stump.
Oh, that's an analog. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're going to raffle it off.
Yeah.
Have you done a raffle before?
We did one raffle and it went pretty well.
You did? Man, that's always my fear. One of my buddies was like, you should do a raffle. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'd be like, here's this $5,000 bike, and like 6 people would buy tickets, and I'd be like, well, that didn't work out.
Yeah. So last year we raffled. I had a Santa Cruz Carbon Chameleon.
Oh, sweet! I have one of those too.
Yeah, awesome bikes.
Yeah.
But within the first 20 hours, the raffle tickets sold out.
Oh, how many did you sell?
60.
60.
Yeah.
How much is a ticket?
60.
$60? Oh, right on. That's not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't
right on, dude.
$3,600,
Yeah, totally. Man, now you're making me want to do something like that. I feel like I'm gonna get in over my head though somehow. I always end up like those koozies that I was talking about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Like these things here. I started out, all I wanted, like my buddy had his tailgate pad came with koozies that you could put on the bikes to keep the paint from getting scratched.
Oh, cool.
And it's like, I'm just gonna get on Amazon and buy a couple of blank ones. That way I can not scratch my bikes.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, I'm like ordering fucking 300 koozies from China.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
This is the rabbit hole that I go down, and I go quick, man. I'm like, I'm all in. Next thing you know, I'm like, here we go. Now I'm designing some koozie design for like 16 hours. I'm like, what did I do on Friday? I don't even know. I guess I designed a koozie.
Go big or go home, you know?
Right, totally. So,
well, you have to be careful with raffles though, because raffles are intended to benefit charities.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some gray area there. But I know there were a couple of people on Instagram that I had followed, and they were like raffling some of their overland vehicle builds, and they ended up getting snapped because it was like for personal gain. And
yeah.
Anyway.
So you can do that as a 501c. And that was one of the things out here too, because I remember somebody, I think it might have been BKXE that I was talking to, and he was going to do a raffle for something. And then it basically, like, he came to like the conclusion of what you're talking about, where it was like, oh, that's illegal, you know? And like, it's because it's like a lottery or something like that is like what they kind of place it in the same place as.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, apparently you have to be a 501c. So I guess that's the good reason. Now you can do all the raffles you want, right?
Yeah.
So was that your personal Santa Cruz, or you guys just bought it just for the raffle?
No, it was my personal Santa Cruz.
Oh, right on.
Put the money back into the program.
Yeah, totally. Did you like the bike?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. Do you have a hardtail now still, or?
I don't have a hardtail, and I honestly, first blush is that I love that bike, but I honestly have a love-hate relationship with that bike.
Oh yeah.
So that bike drove me to my hate for SRAM brakes.
Oh yeah.
I will not ride SRAM brakes, and I totally blame those brakes for my broken ankle.
Oh yeah.
So here's a funny story. Everybody will get a kick out of this. So last year, almost exactly a year ago, we had been invited to this like Overland Expo to come set up a booth and showcase our bikes and kind of the stuff, some of the stuff we're doing. Mm-hmm. So we go out there. It's in the middle of nowhere in Llano, Texas, and all these vendors kind of set up their vehicles in around this big open field, right? Bigger than a football field, probably 150 yards by, 80 yards wide or something. And we're out there, and it's obviously hot as balls because it's October in Texas.
Right.
And basically, the whole day goes by. It was fine. It was whatever. And 3 or 4 o'clock, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. People are starting to pack up, and me and my buddy were kind of bored. So we jump on the bikes and we start tooling around. And I get on the Chameleon, and I start riding across this open field. And I was like, I'm going to do a wheelie, and all these people are going to love it.
Yeah, right.
Wheelie, and it was a freaking sweet wheelie, man. Like I was just going, and probably 30, 40 yards into it, I start to lose the bike, right? Like it starts to out from under me.
Yeah,
so I grabbed that brake, just pure sponge, man. I was like, well, that sucks. So I put my foot down because I'm starting to lose my balance, put my foot down, the ground's uneven, and just snapped my ankle.
Oh, no.
Quick as could be, which was
horrible.
Yeah, which was super embarrassing. I just did it in front of all these people, and I'm just kind of laying there, and I sit up and I look over, and my ankle's just kind of flopping there. And everybody comes running like, "Oh, are you okay?" They bring this little tent over, this canopy, and put it over me. I'm okay. I'm gonna be all right. So, anyway.
That sucks.
1 plate, 5 pins later, and I refuse to ride SRAM brakes.
Yeah, I can understand that. I don't like SRAM brakes either. I feel like whenever somebody says it has great modulation, that's like an excuse for crappy braking.
Yeah.
But that's my personal feeling. The main reason that I just don't like SRAM brakes, the biggest reason is not the modulation. It's the they gobble, man. As soon as they get hot, and dirty, they just start making all kinds of noises, like in every direction, you know, and it's like you can get them dialed for like 2 or 3 rides, and then all of a sudden it comes back, you know. It's like turkeys gobbling or like chipmunks or something, you know. It's just, and so I had SRAM brakes on my last Bronson when I first started the channel, and it just made so much noise, and it's like I'm trying to do a ride video, and it's like, you know, it's like, this is horrible. So
yeah,
I went back to Shimano, and I haven't touched them since. I don't like. I got this new V3 Bronson that I have right now, and it had the new whatever top of the line SRAM brakes on it, and I put them on my old one and sold it. And
nice.
Some guy was like, "Well, you didn't even try them," and I'm like, "No, I don't even care. I don't even care if you tell me they're the best brakes in the world. I don't even care. I'm not like." I've made up my mind. I'm not doing it again unless Shimano's all of a sudden get shitty. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm riding from now on.
Well, so that's actually how I ended up on this bike, this Pemberton. When I started working with Specialized, like, you know, pick out a bike that you like, and I was looking through it, and the only way you can get Shimano components is on an S-Works build.
Mm-hmm.
That way I can afford an S-Works build.
Yeah, those things are great.
This, like, special edition Pemberton came with the coil, and then came with Magura MT7s. So like, nice. Because it doesn't have, you know, SRAM brakes, I'll buy them.
Right. How do you like the Magura ones? I haven't ridden those.
Love them. I absolutely
really good.
Yeah.
What size rotor are you running?
200 up front and a 180 in the back.
Right on it. But they're good, huh?
They're great, man. I'm actually going to take these brakes. I keep doing the wrong side. I'm going to take these off of this and put them on the Enduro when it comes in.
Right on, man. That'll be fun, dude. That'll be super fun.
Yeah.
Right on, dude. So I don't know, man. I don't know what else to ramble on about. You got anything else coming up that you'd like to talk to people about?
What else we got coming up? Yeah, nothing. I don't think that we haven't covered.
Yeah.
If anybody's listening and wants to, you know, check out what we're doing, our Instagram tag is @Dirt Therapy Project. Same with Facebook. I'm happy to connect on any social media platform. LinkedIn is kind of my more professional side. I've got short hair in my LinkedIn picture.
Yeah, I wasn't, when I saw you first come on, the only thing I saw on your Instagram was like your military picture, and I was like, dude, looks like a hippie now. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, with Corona, I went a little while without getting a haircut, and I was like, well, I'm just going to keep going now, right?
Just keep going now, man. Next thing you know, you're like Lieutenant Dan or something, man.
Yeah. Drives my wife nuts, so that's just one reason to keep going, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly how that goes.
Yeah.
Awesome, well, I really appreciate you taking the time, man, to sit down and chat with me, dude. It's definitely been fun hearing about what you guys got going on, and I hopefully some people are inspired. You know, I think it's important for veterans to kind of do something to get your head right, you know. And for me, mountain biking helps a lot. From a lot of my friends that are veterans, it's the same thing. My one buddy always says you got to outride the demons, you know? So it's a good time. Anybody that's been listening and you guys enjoyed the episode, hit the like button. Definitely, if you want to hear more, hit the subscribe button. And like I said, you can get one of these cool biker koozies that I ended up designing because apparently I go down the rabbit hole. You can pick one up for $9. That's shipping included, or 3 for $20. So go by let me try that again. Go by shop.biker.com and pick one of those up. If you guys want to help out with the beer fridge, hit up Patreon. That'd be awesome. Keep the beer fridge full. Otherwise, but that thing's empty, man. I might just close shop, call it a day. Anyways, Jonathan, hey man, it was really awesome having you on. I really appreciate it. And I want everybody to remember one thing: it only takes a bike to be a biker. So get out and be one.